Hello, welcome to Lesson 3.03b, Independent Practice Homework Walkthrough. We are writing and solving one-step inequalities. Oh yeah! And solving word problems with inequalities. Oh yeah! Let's zoom in. Okay, so on your homework, your stories will be exactly the same. Your numbers will be different, but your stories will be exactly the same. So I think this will help because we will use the same inequality vocab words. Different numbers, but the same inequality vocab words. So, if there's any question that is particularly challenging, make sure to watch this video. Let's see, we have a total of 5 questions. Let's get to it. First, let's take a snip, and then we'll read. Josephine wants to save at least. So while I'm reading, I'm going to underline the important parts. I'm going to underline my math vocab word. Josephine wants to save at least $227 for an upcoming trip. She is saving $10 a week. How many weeks X will it take for Josephine to save the money? Write and solve an inequality represents the number of weeks X Josephine needs to save money to achieve her goal. So, first let's talk about this word. At least 227. I want to think about, would that include numbers bigger than 277? Numbers smaller than 277? And to do that, to decide which way my alligator mouth is going to go, let's use the number that's bigger than and the number that's smaller than this. So is 228 at least 227? If I earned $228, is that at least $227? Yes, it is. Is 226 at least? $227? Nope, that's not enough. Darn it. So, at least 227. So, it looks like our alligator mouth is going to be facing away from 227 because it's talking about numbers like 228, 229, 230, and so on and so on. Every number that is at least 227. Now let's see if it's an or equal to, because we know that now this alligator mouth is facing away from 227. But does it have the or equal to bar? If something costs $227 and you earn $227, do you have at least $227? Do you have enough? Yes, you do. So it is also the or equal to. Alright, now let's look at this 10 right here. How many weeks will it take for Josephine to save money? So $10 each week. So in 1 week, that's $10. 2 weeks is $20. 3 weeks is $30. 4 weeks is $40. So it looks like we are multiplying here. So 10 times X is greater than or equal to 227. Now, let's solve. Divide by 10. I'm doing the inverse of times by 10. Inverse or opposite of times by 10 is divide by 10. what I do to one side, I'm going to do over here. 10 divided by 10 is 1. X times 1 is just x. The sign stays the same, and 227 divided by 10 is 22.7. X is, click on this arrow, greater than or equal to 22.7. Check. Yay. Question 2. Sarah is training for a marathon and wants to run at least 29.3 miles in total before the day of the race. If she has already run 13.3 miles, how many more miles does she need to run to meet her goal? Write and solve an inequality where the number of miles, x. Sarah would still need to run. So let's underline. Sarah is training for a marathon and wants to run at least 29.3. Oh my goodness, we just talked about the word at least, didn't we? In question 1, we just talked about the word at least, and y at least would be this sign. So 29.3 at least means any number bigger than 29.3 or the number 29.3. If you run 29.3 miles, that is at least 29.3 miles. That's the bare minimum. If I run 30 miles, that's also at least. So any number bigger than 29.3. So the alligator mouth is facing away from 29.3. Now let's look at this number. If she has already run that, how many more does she need to go? So x is how much she needs to run. She already ran that. So x and 13.3 would be greater than or equal to 23.3. Now, if I figured out, we can figure out if it's a plus or minus by maybe thinking about if this was an equation. 29.3. If I wanted to, do I plus, do I minus? She wants to run that. She already ran 13.3. So, like on Monday, she ran this much Monday. Then on Tuesday, she needs to run this much. And altogether needs to be 29.3. Okay, so altogether, looks like I'm adding them. That's how we can figure out if it's a plus or minus. Plus. So now, let's solve. What is the inverse of plus 13.3? Nice. It is minus 13.3. Positive 13.3 minus 13.3 is 0. X plus 0 is just x, so those virtually disappear. Minus 13.3 on this side. 29.3 minus 13.3 equals 16. X is greater than or equal to 16. X is greater than or equal to 16. Yay! All right. Question 3. At the school library, students are allowed to borrow at most, that kind of looks like at least, but the opposite. At most, 8 books. You have already borrowed. You already borrowed 2 books. Already borrowed 2 books. How many more can you borrow? The X is the number of books you can still borrow. So number of books you can still borrow is X. So, using like what we know about opposites, if it said at least 8, I know already that it would be that, right? But it says at most 8. So I'm going to think it's the opposite, right? At least would be this way. So at most, I'd assume would be that way. Now let's talk about it a little more just to be sure. So at most 8, what numbers would fall and would make this okay? Let's think about this story in more detail. If I am only allowed to borrow at most 8 books at a time, that means I can't borrow any more than 8. 8 is the most I could buy. That is the largest amount of books that I could ever check out. Now I could check out 7 books, right? I could check out 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 or 0. Or I could donate books to the library too, making negatives, I suppose. But 8 is the top. So my mystery number is going to be either 7 or 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 or 0. It could be anything smaller than 8. And since the mystery number is anything smaller than 8, the alligator is going to eat 8 because that is the biggest. That is the biggest number there is in this story. And so our inequality sign will eat it. And we know that it is a or equal to because you can check out 8. At most 8 means you can also check out 8. So we have, we know our symbol looks like that. We have our 8 there. Awesome. So we already borrowed 2. How many can we buy? So kind of like question 2 that we did last time. We checked out 2 books maybe on Monday, and we want to check out some amount more. More is kind of a vocab word for plus. So something plus 2 would put me at my max of 8. Now, let's solve. Solving time. What is the inverse of plus 2? What is the opposite of plus 2? It is minus 2. Yeah, positive 2 minus 2 is 0. So that disappears because x plus 0 is just x. Now 8 minus 2 is the number 6. X is less than or equal to the number 6, meaning I can check out, I already have 2 books, I can't check out any more than 6 books before reaching my limit of 8. X is less than or equal to 6. Ayo, number 4. A cookie recipe requires 4 cups of flour for each batch. 4 cups of flour. I'm just going to do 4 cups each batch. Maria has no more than 12 cups of flour. How many batches can she make? So C stands for batches of cookies. Write and solve an inequality. Okay, for C, cookies. Okay. So no more than 12. So 12 is my main number. She has no more than. That's what else sounds like no more than. At most, max of 12. I only have 12 cups of flour. I have no more than. So I don't have 13, right? Because no more than 12, that's not 13. 13 is more than 12. I have no more. I don't have 14. I don't have 15, because that's no more. That's more. I want no more than. So I'm talking about the numbers 11 or 10 or 9, numbers smaller than 12. Maria has no more than 12. So, if 12 is the top of the story, 12 is the biggest number, the alligator mouth is going to eat 12. Now let's talk about if it's an or equal to bar. Is 12 no more than 12? 12 is not more than 12. So, I think it would be an or equal to. Now, this word each, I think that's a word that means multiply. So I think for C, not for X, for C is what my answer is going to be, or is what that side of the inequality is going to be. Because one batch would be 4 cups, 2 batches would be 8 cups, 3 batches would be 12 cups. Okay. So, it's multiplying. Now let's solve. What is the inverse of times by 4? It is divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. C times 1 is just C. That divided by 4, we have C is less than or equal to the number 3. So, Maria can cook any amount of batches of cookies less than or equal to 3. So she can cook 3 batches, 2 batches, 1 batches, or no batches. C is less than or equal to 3. C is less than or equal to 3. Yay! Last question. Jaquan wants to raise some money to help sponsor shelter animals. Okay, I think that sentence was important. He wants to sponsor 4 animals and wants to give at least $43 to each animal. How much total money? Did we talk about at least already? Do we know what that word means? Yes, we do. At least. The opposite of at most. So 43 at least means it is facing away from, because at least 43, that means 43 is the lowest number in our story, because at least $43 to each animal, meaning $44 would be okay, $45 would be okay, $46 would be okay. Anything above $43 would be good. That'd be awesome. That'd be more than he wants. But $42 for each animal? Nope, that would not be good. So I know my mystery number is going to be bigger than 43. Or I know not my mystery number, but I know my left side is going to be bigger than 43. And let's see if is it or equal to? I think it is, because the other ones were or equal to. But also, if Jaquan only got $43 for each animal, that would be okay. He wants at least $43. And $43 is at least $43. He wants to sponsor 4 animals and give $43 to each animal. How much money should he raise? How much total money should he raise? So if I raised $100 and I gave that to 4 animals, how much would each animal get? I think each one would get 25, right? If I had $100, I gave that evenly to 4 animals. I have this large group and I split it into smaller groups. So I think I'm dividing. And if I had $200 and I cut that into 4 groups, I think I would have 50. So yep, I think I'm dividing. It has been confirmed. So my mystery number divided by 4 will be bigger than or equal to 43, because whatever amount of money I have after I send it into my 4 groups of animals will be at least $43. Now, let's solve. What is the inverse of divided by 4? It is times by 4. M divided by 4 is the same as M times 1/4. So what is 1/4 times 4? That is 1. So these cancel out because M divided by 1 is just M. M is greater than or equal to, and what's this times 4? 43 times 4 is 172. So Jaquan needs to earn at least $172 so that 4 of the animals would get $43 each, at least. M is greater than 172. Let's see. M is greater than 172. Yay! Alright, if you need more help with this homework, make sure to send me a Canvas message. Good luck.